the evidence, and there is a fair amount of evidence that Israel very well might have known this was going to happen and allowed it. And I know the kind of instant reaction to that is, why the hell would they do that? Well, having an assault on your people allows for all kinds of tactics to be used, such as bombing the shit out of Palestine, such as bombing the shit out of Gaza. They have the weaponry to destroy all of Gaza, and they're doing a lot of it now. And it also allows even increased surveillance. I know Israel is one of the most surveilled countries in the world, but they can even continue to up an assault on people's rights in Israel. And so here is this is a WikiLeaks cable that WikiLeaks tweeted out that was printed a long time ago, many years ago, but there's so many thousands of cables from WikiLeaks, people miss a lot of them. This is the Israeli Defense Intelligence Chief Amos Yadlin in 2007 saying Israel would be, quote unquote, happy if Hamas took over Gaza because the IDF, the Israeli military, could then deal with Gaza as a hostile state. He dismissed the significance of an Iranian role in the Hamas-controlled Gaza. But this is not meant to be public, right? This is secret cables. This is part of the reason they've tortured Julian Assange for over a decade now. This is the former Israeli defense minister saying they would like to see Hamas take over Gaza. That is their own words in leaked cables that they did not want us to see. Here is some more information about this, about the rise of Hamas and why there were many who wanted to see it, many in Israel and many in the neocon U.S. war state. This is from Sam Husseini, a well-known journalist and activist. Just as the U.S. government backing the Mujahideen, which ultimately spawned Osama bin Laden, just as the U.S. government backing the Mujahideen, who would become the Taliban in Afghanistan in the 1980s, Israel helped the rise of what would become Hamas. It was even advocated in the pages of the New York Times. The New York Times, always getting it right. The reason was clearly stated: a desire to divide the Palestinians and undermine the secular PLO. Classic colonial divide and rule. See from September 9th, 1989, an alternative to the PLO fundamentalists. So this is an article in the New York Times from 1989 saying that having Hamas take over Gaza would be good because it would divide Palestinians rather than have them united. And again, allowing this an attack like the one that just happened is what the right wingers in Israel we're hoping for in many ways. So here's some more on why people believe that this quite possibly that they knew this was going to happen at minimum. This person who generally does quite good tweets and quite good information says, did you know Israel created Hamas? There were two reasons for this shocking strategy. I don't know if they created Hamas, but they might have fostered it. Divide and rule, split the Palestinian leadership into two divisions, use Hamas's hard line as an excuse to reject any peace plan, create a controlled opposition which is violent enough to keep the endless war going and sabotage peace plans. This person says Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, which has had very close relations with the U.S. and the West for decades. And then this person goes on to claim it's backfired because Hamas is now too strong and has just shown their strength. I don't know that this is in the end going to backfire. I mean, again, it's tough to tell a people who has had their lives destroyed for decades and decades and had their kids murdered, etc. And if you remember watching the Great March of Return, the IDF snipers were picking off. And again, this is a crime. It's a crime against humanity. It's a war crime, except the Great March of Return was not a war, so it's not even a war crime. It's worse than that. It was just straight up murder. But they were shooting and killing, and they knew what they were doing. Children, elderly, press people with press written all over their outfits, medics, and they killed multiple journalists. They killed multiple medics. It was just they knew what they were doing, and they were going out, and they've gone after the press. They've killed journalists quite clearly. So here's a quote from a former IDF soldier. And this is being brought to us by Kit Clarenberg, who always does amazing work. I'm not going to play the clip because it's 7 minutes long. But here's a quote from the clip. I served in the IDF 25 years ago in the intelligence forces. There's no way, in my view, that Israel did not know this was coming. Something is very wrong here. This surprise attack seems like a planned operation on all fronts. And Israel, most of you know this, but Israel has the most sophisticated spy system in the world. Many U.S. police actually go to Israel, or Israel trainers, Mossad trainers come to them to train police how to be more brutal, how to be more quote unquote effective, how to surveil people more effectively. Much of the spyware and spy software that is used around the world has come from Israel firms, Mossad firms. Many former Mossad are top agents or top officials. I don't know what the right term is. Top employees at Facebook and Google. And Alan McLeod did a great article on that. But the point is, when you have some of the most sophisticated surveillance in the world, the idea that you couldn't see an attack of this scale, sure, you might not be able to see a small attack. You might not be able to see a handful of guys cutting a hole in the fence and killing some Israeli soldiers, but that's not what this was. This was massive, large. It took clearly a lot of planning, and the idea that that Mossad and the IDF were completely unaware seems quite shocking to a lot of people.